Welcome to another episode of the Rankum Podcast. I'm Garrett Seawright. You can find me on Twitter at Garrett Seawright. And my co-host, Don Garwood. You can find him on Twitter and on Twitch at Donnie_G.
Drop in.
All right, we'll work on that.
Every Thursday at noon.
We'll work on.
We'll work on that too.
We'll work on
finding the schedule.
I try to post it at 6 a.m. So if you're getting in the car,
so you can listen to it on your way to work.
You're you need to pick me
on
up
your way home.
Right, if you need to pick me up on your way into work on a Thursday, and you're relying for us on that.
Well, God help you. I hope you made it the last 10 months.
Sad state of affairs, but nonetheless, as you can see from the title on today's episode,
I suspect that Wes and Tori listened to this on their way to work in the morning.
Probably. And that makes me feel somewhat decent about myself.
And I know that the guys at my last job, whom have texted me multiple times over the last 10 months, and were one of the people that reached out with the screenshot of the heartbeat tweet. We're like, please tell me this is
this is coming back.
It's like, well, it was supposed to go out on April 1st. He goes, you son of a bitch. So he's heartbroken right now. But
hey,
probably not after last week.
Yeah, hey.
Or Monday. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. I don't know.
After the welcome back episode.
Yeah. So we're back, baby. And better than ever.
We're
what was that sound?
We're okay-ish as ever.
We're as average as ever. We're as adequate as ever.
Yeah. We're here.
And that's half the battle.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
luckily I was already in the town.
Right.
When this started. Otherwise, who knows when we actually would have recorded it.
Right. Yeah.
Does Saturday work for you? No. It doesn't. What about Sunday? No. We'll figure something out, and then we never would.
No.
Here we are.
And then, but who'd have thought it, huh?
Look at us now.
Who'd have
thought? Who'd have thought?
Not me.
Not me. Not some of our listeners.
No, absolutely not. And yet here we are.
But you know who did? Kevin.
That's true. He's a good guy.
Maybe Zach.
No.
No.
But Kevin.
Kevin knew.
Appreciate that. So we're ranking TV sitcoms.
Yeah.
And we've got parameters. Not really.
No.
Actually, it's a show that airs on TV.
It's a show that airs on TV that has some sort of story that revolves around the same characters.
And it's slightly
It's
funny.
not ESPN.
Yeah. Yes.
Sports Center, I guess, is the name of the TV show.
But
you get it.
Yeah. So you kicking her off or am I?
I'll kick it off.
That's good.
I'll kick it off with number 5 on my list.
I appreciate that.
It's been a while. Number 5 is a cartoon. And I didn't say that we were going to do this beforehand, but I'm going to do it. It's an 8.1 on IMDb.
Okay.
I can Google yours as you say them. I'll figure it out.
That's fine.
Cartoon, Phineas and Ferb.
I should have got that. I will transparently say, before the episode, I said to Don, I knew 3 of your 5, roughly. I think.
This was not one of the guesses.
It wasn't. Yeah, I did not guess Phineas and Ferb, but I should have.
Phineas and Ferb is not made for
adult straight white males.
I don't think adults at all, really. But it's really enjoyable to watch as an adult. I think the writer for it, Dan Povenmire, who's a creator, I think he does a lot of the drawing. I follow him on TikTok. He adds in some of that sense of humor that adults get that not necessarily kids do. He worked on, I just found this out yesterday. He worked on the first 6 seasons of South Park. Or no, first 6 seasons of Family Guy. Sorry. So Family Guy made a Phineas and Ferb joke recently, and Dan Povenmire posted on TikTok, and he's like, huh. They made a joke about Phineas and Ferb, and this is how I know. He's like, I worked with these guys for 6 years, and they didn't even tell me. But Phineas and Ferb follows 2 brothers, and they're super smart inventor dudes. Phineas and Ferb. They're super smart inventor dudes, kind of like if Dexter was twins, but not an evil genius. Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. Yeah. But kind of a side story to that, they have a pet platypus who's Perry the platypus, and he's a secret agent, and there's like this super evil guy called Dr. Doofenshmirtz, and he is constantly trying to take over the tri-state area, which is what they call
I would say, which is ambiguous.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's
not New Jersey, Philadelphia, New York.
Right. It's definitely not that area. But he's constantly trying to take over the tri-state area with these different innators. So, like, every invention he makes ends in innator. So even if it's like the translator innator.
That doesn't feel good coming out the mouth.
No, but he makes all of these, like, it's very Tom and Jerry or Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner type thing, where it's like, I've trapped you. Oh, no, my innator has been destroyed. Dang you, Perry the Platypus. I'll see you next week on this sitcom. And then Perry the Platypus, like, joins back with the two brothers at the very end, and they're like, hey, look at this spaceship that we made in our backyard. There's 104 days of summer vacation, and school comes around just to end it. That's the title theme.
Okay.
So that's also how it ends.
Well, so what is the target audience for Phineas and Ferb?
Probably,
is it older kids? Or
I think that it is probably
like 8 to 12?
8 to 12, 8 to 13.
Okay.
I didn't watch
like, so Fairly Odd Parents, kind of?
Yeah, probably that same range.
Okay. So not Bluey or Paw Patrol kids.
No. Yeah.
Your Recess, your
Yeah.
Pepper Ann, Doug.
Maybe up to like Angry Beaver's age, Cat Dog age.
Gotcha. Okay.
As you get older.
Right. As is tradition.
But I didn't watch it until I was in college, and I just needed a TV show to watch, and
just shut your brain off.
Turned it on Netflix, and it was a problem because I'm up to like 2:00 in the morning watching these shows. I got work at 6. So, but I really enjoyed it. Lasted for 8 seasons. And then they did a bunch of movies because they're made by Disney. So they get to do like Star Wars stuff and Avengers stuff and get to do a bunch of crossovers. But Phineas and Ferb is really good. Highly recommended. As all of these on my list are.
Yeah, otherwise
they wouldn't be on my list.
Probably wouldn't be in the top 5. One of my number 5 is one that I will parse. I won't partake a whole lot because we'll talk about it more. I got Scrubs at number 5. A lot of my list, I had to work really hard to not just have 5 cartoons on here. So I've got a few live action, and Scrubs is one of them.
Scrubs is an 8.4 on IMDb.
You know what? That feels right.
Yeah,
it feels right.
Especially, and if you take away the last season, probably an 8.6.
Probably.
Last season was bad.
But the cast works. The writing works. Mm-hmm. I love me some JD and Turk forever. It's in that nice, it's one of those macaroni and cheese shows. Just feels nice. It's a comfort TV show to sit down and there's some Scrubs.
98% of the episodes are feels good man episodes.
Yeah. And you can just flip it on, and you don't have to pick up in the storyline, or don't have to watch the 8 episodes before that. Or
it's a hospital health thing. So just like you get it, it takes place in a hospital. People are sick and go. So you can pick up halfway through an episode, and you're fine to keep watching, or pick up season 4 and just start watching.
Right, and they're 21 minutes.
Yeah.
You can bounce through a few of them in an hour. It feels nice. I like it. Scrubs at my number 5.
We might hear about that later. My number 4, I assume, I don't know if we'll hear about this from you or not, but my number 4, 8.7 rating on IMDb. It is, of all of my lists, it is the 3rd highest rated. South Park. I know what some of you might be thinking. I know you might be thinking that seems awfully low. Maybe it doesn't. I haven't watched like the last 6 or 7 or 8 seasons of South Park. I feel like I might have, I don't know why I stopped, but I might have aged out of it a bit. I also cut cable, so I think that has something to do with it.
I get that. So I haven't watched South Park in a very long time because, and one, I think they're geniuses for being able to pick up something and do it the week of, being able to put together a show in 6 days. But at the same time, it does not hold up well. Like, you have to.
Everything is so specific.
Yes.
So like there was the Black Friday bundle when PS4 and Xbox came out, and it was a Game of Thrones theme, and that stuff was the top of the world,
right,
trending number 1, trending number 2 for weeks or months. But
you watch it now.
and you're like, what the heck?
Yeah, like I saw an episode a few weeks ago that was from like 2012, and I had to sit there and like I'm researching. When the hell is this even playing? Like, I don't remember this moment in pop culture history where I've got to remember just what exactly they're like making fun of. And so it's like they're great if you watch it live when it airs.
Yeah. Or you
binge watch it on Monday.
Yeah.
You watch it on Monday after it aired on Thursday. But it does not hold up well for me.
I mean, there's still like funny episodes.
Yeah.
And the funnier episodes, now that I think about it, didn't really have anything to do with anything contemporary at the time.
Right.
Like
it just was it would be funny. Wouldn't it be funny if rather than
Scott Tenorman's parents got chopped up into chili, and then who was it? The kid's favorite band showed up and made fun of him for crying. Like, I'm trying to think. It was a super obscure. Who sings Creep? Radiohead? Radiohead shows up at South Park, and they're like, oh, look at this little baby crying. Why are you crying? So found out his parents were murdered, and then his favorite band comes and mocks him for it. Like, that episode is timeless because, and there wasn't anything like contemporary about that. It could have been Slayer came and made fun of him, but that episode, I think that's rated as like one of the top 5 episodes of all time. Scott Tenorman Must Die, I think. But there's a handful of episodes that if I ever see it on, I'll watch it, even though I've seen it a handful of times. But yeah, there are some that they made so specific that you're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, and that's my biggest issue with it.
But
you're right, the timeless ones, the evergreen. Just wouldn't it be funny if this happened to them? Are spectacular,
and that could be why I haven't like gone back to watch them, because I feel like I've tried, and then I'm just like, this doesn't have the same feeling as it does watching them 10 years ago.
I get that,
but I've still got South Park at 4. I've watched so many of those episodes, and I have a lot of fond memories about South Park episodes.
My number 4 is an 8.9 on IMDb.
Let me see if I have any 8.9s. I don't. Go ahead.
Really? I have It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia at number 4.
And that was one that you guessed that I would have.
I did. I thought that you would have It's Always Sunny.
My issue with Always Sunny, and it's not an issue with the show at all, it's that I've only seen like 3 seasons of it, and I haven't watched any of it since they brought it back on FXX.
Yeah.
And I really like the episodes that I've seen, but I just haven't seen enough of them.
There's 165 episodes, and I don't know how many I could tell you are not good.
I've probably seen like 30 of them, and that's why it's not higher on my list.
My favorite episode ever of TV is The Day Man Cometh, which is the musical episode.
I've seen the musical
episode of it. It's my favorite episode of TV, flat out, done, period. No bones about it. It is the best 22 minutes of TV I can enjoy.
You got to pay the troll toll if you want to get into the spoilers hole.
Are you chewing gum? I said no gum. That is almost like the perfect encapsulation of It's Always Sunny. Is just the sheer what the bleep is, what the bleepness is going on.
I was going to say stupidity, but that doesn't seem fair to
no. It's just so enjoy. Like, it's led to like Danny DeVito having a renaissance where everybody loves Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Nobody can hate Danny DeVito. It's not allowed. And I think it's part of because of It's Always Sunny.
So there's a handful of like there are some amazing little snippets or skits in that just crack me up.
Is your cat just stew noise?
Kitten mittens. You ever seen the Rat Bat episode?
Yeah.
Is that the same one? He has dreams.
Yeah.
Dr. Vernon Hat.
Even the
wild card bitches.
I was going to say there's so much just absurdity of the brakes won't work. Why aren't the brakes working? Because I cut the brakes. Wild card bitches. Yeehaw! It's so like it's so absurd.
They're like outside like tailgating in an Eagles game, and it's like, no, I'm not going to let you distract me today. I'm going to have a nice relaxing day and black out in my chair.
But that's what I'm here for. I'm here for It's Always Sunny. It's an 8.9. I have it at my number 4.
Always Sunny is really, really good, and I should watch it more, but I feel like at this point I'm so far behind
that there's no catch up possible. It's just
like you said, 160 episodes. I've maybe seen 30 of them.
Yeah. But The Day Man Cometh
is one of them.
My favorite episode of any TV show ever. I could watch it at any moment.
That's your number 4.
My number 4.
My number 3, 8.5 on IMDb. It is another cartoon. Probably surprising.
Yeah.
Maybe not. It's Futurama.
I was going to say it's Futurama.
I love Futurama. It is one of the shows that I turn on. I think it's off of Netflix now, so I can't do it. But it was a show that I would turn on Netflix and just let it play through episodes as I'm trying to lay in bed. Like I'd lay in bed at, I'm a freaking night owl, so 11:30 at night I go and lay in bed, set my sleep timer on my TV for an hour, turn on Futurama for resume play wherever I was on the last episode, and let it play. Fall asleep in maybe 15 minutes, maybe 45 if it was a particularly good episode. Like
if you're laying there like face down away from the TV and then you're still laughing anyway.
Yeah.
Like whatever they're saying.
But then the next night, lay in bed, Futurama, resume play, hour timer, and just go. It was probably, apart from South Park, was probably the first like adult cartoon that I watched. That, I mean, Family Guy came out around the same time or whatever, but Futurama, I watched all of the episodes multiple times, especially because I'd just press play and fall asleep to them. I don't know. There's a couple really good episodes in there, and there's a couple of tearjerker episodes. And when they want to jerk your tears,
they're jerking
coming.
them.
They're coming.
Thanks for that.
But it's about a guy gets frozen 1999 as the clock is counting down to the new millennium on New Year's Eve, and unthaws in 2999 to the year 3000. So there are spaceships and monsters.
It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
New fantastic point of view, one could say.
But he is so stupid that he almost like fits in with the ideology of the new world. Like there's not really
haven't advanced a whole lot.
They've advanced scientifically, but not mentally.
Technology. But yeah,
everybody in this world is stupid in some way or another. But it's so good, and that's all I got to say about that.
I could never get into it. I've tried. Just was never my thing.
New season coming out, and
like, it's crazy to me that they're still making new ones.
Well,
by
so
the way.
they haven't made them for like years. I want to say like 2008 or 9 was when they stopped, and then I don't know if Hulu. I think Hulu picked them up, and they're doing new episodes. And for a long time, the only one that wasn't signed was the voice of Bender, who is like
the robot
main character. and there was all kinds and I guess they weren't paying him enough or whatever the case be. There was just riots on social
Well, I was going to say,
media.
like, at that point, you can hold out and be like, I want more. Because if I'm the last dude from the original cast who hasn't signed up and I'm maybe the most important voice, like, you're going to pay me.
And there were riots on social media. Like, just pay him if you're going to pay him or don't make the show.
Right. Pay him or don't do it.
And I think that it probably would have been, there's probably two voices that people care about, but honestly, he is the most important voice, I would say, in that show.
Yeah.
And he's a side character.
Right. But
he's the most loved person in the show.
It's that important. Yeah. I think that's fair. So that's your number 3.
And there's good memes out of it, like the Take My Money meme.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, that is my number 3.
Okay, so I'm in an impasse here.
You got a 1A, 1B?
I made a regretful omission.
Okay.
So I almost feel like I need to move.
You gonna slide 5 out?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Which this always used to
it's
always used to piss me off when we would always be like, "Oh, I forgot about blah." Like, how the hell is it in your top 5 if you didn't remember it until somebody else said it?
So here's the thing.
It's
been 10 months.
It was training.
Performance issues are bound to happen. It's okay.
So we're gonna move Scrubs.
Rusty.
We're gonna move Scrubs to honorable mention.
Okay.
We're gonna move It's Always Sunny to 5.
Yep.
We're gonna move my 3
to 2
to 4.
Oh, okay.
So my 3
Your new
originally is Malcolm in the Middle, and I know that you hate Jane Kasmerick, the mom. Okay. So this is now my number 4.
Wait.
So my Malcolm in the Middle is my number 4. I moved everything down a slot.
Okay.
I made an omission.
Okay, so you're going to hit off 2 in a row.
Yeah, Malcolm in the Middle.
Your new number 4 is Malcolm in the Middle.
Yes.
Gotcha.
My new number 4 is Malcolm in the Middle.
Was 3, now 4.
Was 3, now 4. I can't tell you.
I wish I could talk like an auctioneer. But,
was 4.
But just use your imagination. Okay.
So I love Malcolm in the Middle. I think it's spectacular from so many different aspects that they can tell the story of the episode from Hal's perspective. They can tell the story from Malcolm's perspective, Reese's perspective, Francis' perspective, Dewey's perspective, and Craig, the neighbor dude who is a coworker of the mom, tell an episode from his perspective. It always works, and I'm here for it. I can't tell you. It's one of the last shows that I remember watching, like, the entire series and not thinking, this last season sucks. Like, this is terrible, because it just seems to happen to every show. This last season sucks.
I think that's because a lot of shows aren't set up for, I might have an omission too, and I feel bad about it.
We might have the same omission.
So
I made a bad omission because it's one of my favorite TV shows ever.
Okay, then yes, I think we got the same omission.
Yeah. So we're doing some slipping and some sliding.
Yeah. So I think that's because a lot of TV shows, when they start, the pilot's usually okay, good enough to get a green lit.
Mm-hmm.
First season, brand new, fresh idea, we're ready to do it. Second season, let's continue off of that, and then they get to it and they're like, we never thought we'd get a third season.
Right.
What do? I don't know. Do what everybody else has ever done, and then it just kind of falls into this kind of blah blah.
Yeah.
Like The Walking Dead was amazing when
I had this discussion with somebody yesterday.
And then it's like, hey, there's people here. They're bad. These people are real bad. You beat them. Hey, did you forget you're in a zombie apocalypse? Because here's 10,000 zombies.
Right. Like,
oh no, we've been separated.
If you've got a story, tell the story and be done with it.
Yep.
Don't be like, okay, we've got to keep making this thing because people seem to like it and the company's making a lot of money off of it. I can't tell you how much money like HBO would have made from Game of Thrones, like just in syndication and reruns and merchandising and all that stuff, if the last season wasn't just pure hot, unadulterated trash.
Okay, so I didn't want to talk about Game of Thrones because it still hurts 3 years later.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
But every year, right before Game of Thrones, like a month before it came out, I would sit down and watch every season of Game of Thrones. Yeah. and try and time it so that
you finish up
a couple days, a week before.
You finish up Thursday before the new season starts on Sunday.
I haven't watched a single episode of Game of Thrones since the finale.
I'm with you.
I haven't rewatched the finale. It's the first time, like even when a season's over, I would rewatch that season. Like I would binge that season once that season was over. I was like, oh, this is so good.
Right. So you watched them every Sunday for 10 straight weeks. Now I'm going to watch
all 10.
I'm going to watch 10 of them in the course of about
3 days.
38 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
no, I didn't do it.
And then they're advertising the new show that's due out in like August, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know if I'm ready to be hurt again.
I was just about to say, like, I'm not sure if I'm ready to start dating again. I'm not sure if I'm ready to put myself out there again. I loved you, and you ruined it. It was so bad.
If any consolation came from it, it's that those careers were ruined out of it. They were like, we need to go get that Star Wars money.
We're going to get that.
Star Wars. Like, you're not getting it.
No, you're not.
You're not touching anything here. And then Netflix is like, yeah, we're going to postpone all the projects we had you working on.
Good. So move Malcolm in the Middle down to number 4. I'm torn on where to put my remaining 3.
Yeah. So so if you put that at 4 and I slide mine down and I put them at 4, let's
get number 3 out of
the one that we added just now.
Yeah.
Let's just slide that in at 3. It can fall where it does, but we'll just slide that in and have a fun little bonus conversation right now.
That's fine.
Do you want to say what it is right now?
Yeah, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, Ted Lasso. Yeah.
I did feel bad about forgetting it, but I think
it might be my favorite TV show of all time.
It's going to depend on how it ends.
And that's like Jason Sudeikis has said. It's a 3-season show.
That's what they planned for. It was 3 seasons.
And I'm deathly afraid they're going to screw it up.
I think that they might screw up the 3rd season, but I think if they screw up the 3rd season, it's because they try and do a 4th.
That's my worry, is that they're going to be let's see if we can get it to 4, see if we can get it to 5. Like, no, if you've got 3 seasons worth and you feel like that's it,
Jason Sudeikis,
let's do it.
Yeah, so he said it was always meant to be a 3-season story. So if that's the case, yeah, just end it.
Right, just be done with it and let people love it. And let people love your shows.
And I don't think you can do a spinoff from it. Like, if you do a spinoff where Sam is the main character and he's playing for Arsenal and he's having all these, I don't want that.
Right, do I want to see a Roy Kent origin story?
Kind of.
A little.
You say it.
A little bit. But
I think he's the only character that you could spin off.
Right, that you could do an origin story.
You can't. I mean, I guess you could maybe revert him in age, like with CGI or whatever, but maybe I kind of want to see a Roy Kent. He's not that old looking.
No,
he looks like 35. He's probably 45.
But
I don't know that I want to see it if you can't do it good.
You can't do it right. Correct.
But I would love to see him just headbutting people and motherfucking people left
during his days. I want to see it. But it's such. I think I told you when I first started watching it. It's so nice to watch a show and not hate everyone who is a character in the show.
Yeah,
which is what Game of Thrones ended up being for me. Which I'm not like I don't have the mental capacity to watch like 6 different shows at once.
Right.
I just don't have it in me. So when I'm into Game of Thrones, I'm into Game of Thrones. When I'm into Ted Lasso, I'm into Ted Lasso. But for so many shows that I watched, it was, God, I hate everyone in this.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley and I watched Scandal at one point for a long time. It's like everybody in this show sucks, and I hate it. And then Ted Lasso comes along, and it's like somebody blasted sunshine rays through your bumhole.
Veep was kind of... I didn't really like most of the people in Veep.
My brother has watched Veep a lot, I think, and likes it, but I think he's in the same boat of like everybody sucks, but I love it.
Who is it? Is it? It's not Courtney Cox Arquette.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
That's the one. They kind of blend together for me sometimes.
I get that a little bit. Understand.
But Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She is the main character of it, and she is super unlikable. But then, like, every 3 episodes, there's like a 30-second window where she's like breaks down and cries.
Redeeming.
And you're like, oh, she's not a complete heartless bitch. But then immediately afterwards, she's just
right back to it.
180 degrees right back to being
your good old self.
Yeah. Yeah, Ted Lasso is
so likable. There's so many quotable moments. There's so many enjoyable characters.
I was afraid that the second season wasn't going to be good after the first season, and it wasn't as good, but it wasn't bad.
Right, it wasn't.
I didn't
bad.
like.
Yeah, I don't think you liked the Coach Beard episode, did you? Shut up, Thierry Henry.
That one wasn't as bad as I thought when it started. I didn't mind it, but the Nate stuff was weird to me.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
It's been out for a year. If you haven't watched it yet, that's your fault.
So we won't go too in-depth into it, but just the stuff with him.
It's a turn. It takes a turn.
And it takes it real hard. Like, almost not as bad as Game of Thrones, the final episode.
Right.
Not as hard of a turn as that, as they took Daenerys, but like a baby turn of that same.
I mean, there's definitely screeching brakes on the turn.
And then throughout the season, I'm like, why does he look like he's getting gray hair? Did they forget to like color his hair? It's like makeup is doing a terrible job with him as the season goes, and he gets more and more gray hair. And in the final episode, you're like, oh, okay, they did it on purpose.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it makes a lot of sense now. Yeah.
Okay.
So I forgot it, and I don't remember what triggered it, and I sat here and had existential dread for a moment. Like, oh, my God, I don't have Ted Lasso on this list, and I've pounded the table that I think it's one of the best TV shows of all time.
I think on my list right now, it fits at number 3.
I think
until the next season comes out. If that next season is a good
banger,
one,
right?
It might slide up. If it's a good one, if it's a good third season, and they're like, "Hey, we're done. This universe is done. Know nothing from it." It, depending on that last season, might slide it up. My number 2.
I was going to say, I don't remember. Do we take the break now?
We take it between 2 and 1.
Do we? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody knows what the hell's going on.
I got it.
I was like, wait a second. Do we do it before number 2 or after number 2?
Well, which break?
Our sponsor break.
Oh, God. Let's do it now.
All right. We're doing it now. We'll do it live. I think it's this button. Nope. Sure wasn't. Is it this button? Hey, it is.
That'll work. And we're back. That was a great ad sponsor.
I love that sponsor break.
Sure do. I believe it's actually tailored to the person because I think we get different ads.
Oh, I'm certain we get
like you and I get a different ad than other people.
I'm certain we get different ads than other people.
Mute those mics real quick.
Okay.
Yeah so sometimes we get similar ads.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Number dose.
On my list.
It's Y, if you will.
Ooh, dose.
Not klar.
Ni. That's Japanese too.
Okay. Now I know.
Was your number 5? Now it's in your honorable mention. That's Scrubs. I love Scrubs.
I know you love some Scrubs.
I love JD. I love Turk. I love Dr. Cox. Elliot.
Deceptively
the
hot,
Todd,
by the way.
The Todd, who just is a
out of nowhere
jock doctor, high fives people, breaks their hands. The janitor, honestly, kind of really
ties it all together.
Yeah, just like they have this. It's kind of a drama at times, mostly funny. Again, when they want you to cry, you're going to cry.
Right, when they can get serious.
Like, there's a spoiler alert, but this has been off the air for 12 years. So
15 years.
There's an episode where they're like, statistically, 1 out of 3 patients that come in with this disease dies. And 3 patients come in at the exact same time. It's like Dr. Cox takes 1, Elliot takes 1, JD takes 1, and they're all doing these different things, and the whole episode is based around them treating their patients. The end of the episode, all 3 of them die. And JD voices over the episodes, and he's like, and some days, nothing goes right and everything goes wrong. And so, like, it shows they're all emotionally committed to these patients, and at the end of the episode, they're just dead.
Right.
Like one of them's like a 16-year-old kid that I think Turk needs to connect to. And so another one is like this old lady that JD like needs to learn to get attached to, and so they all like form these bonds with these patients, and then they all die at the end. And it's like, oh God,
that's a rough one.
And then there's the musical episode, which is the exact opposite of that. But it's one character who has a brain problem, and his problem is that he hears everyone singing. So the episode goes on, and it's mostly from his point of view, but sometimes it'll like follow somebody out of the room. So like JD and Turk walk into the room, and they break into this song about how they love each other, and then they walk out of the room, and as soon as they break the threshold where this guy can't hear them anymore, they start talking because that guy can't hear them, so they're not in song anymore. So it's a musical, but only when that guy is in the room. And it wasn't until, I don't know, the second or third time I saw it that I kind of picked up that, oh, the whole thing's not a musical. What?
It's not an entire musical episode. It's just when that dude's here.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
It's a really good one.
I was waiting to be like, season 7, episode 13.
No, I couldn't do that. Not anymore.
Because there are some people who can absolutely do that with all their favorite shows.
Okay, so there's
you're a monster if you can, like you are.
So there's a Kiwan and I went to a Harry Potter trivia night in Detroit when he lived up there. Just found a random pub, went into it, trivia, and we were like,
I love me some Harry Potter.
We Harry Potter, and then it's like in the third book, chapter 17, who is snogging this person in the background at the Harry Griffin? Oh God, I don't know. I didn't read the books yet, so I didn't know any of those things. It's like Dean and Ginny were snogging at one point. Right. It's like, you are correct. It was Dean. Oh, God.
It was Dean Thomas. Just giving it up.
But there were people who got every single one of those questions right. And it's like, what sort of brooch did Cho Chang have in her... Cho Chang have in her hair in book 4 when she betrayed the army of Dumbledore a book later or something like that. Army of Dumbledore, book 5?
Dumbledore's army.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in book 5.
You get it.
Book 4. What approach was she wearing when she betrayed our army of Dumbledore one book later? That's a hell of a question. Oh, that's spectacular.
So
thank you.
But yeah, I don't know these shit. I don't know Scrubs that well.
Right.
My number 1, I could probably get pretty damn close. I could tell you the season and probably the front or back of that season.
All right. So Scrubs at 2.
Yeah, and I started rewatching it lately. I stopped for a bit, but I got like 2 seasons into it, just watching it at night again, kind of.
It's got strong watchability.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say is that from what I've read online, because when I like something, I want other people to like it.
Mm-hmm. That's why I've seen an episode of The Witcher.
True. It is one of the most like accurate what it's like to work in a hospital TV shows, like compared to like Grey's Anatomy and stuff like that. Like I've seen
ER and
doctors,
Dr. House.
Yeah, doctors talk about it. They're like, yeah, this is really accurate. It's like not as much sex as they're shown in this show, which this show doesn't have that much, but it's centered around it, just like everything else in life. But
I winked at the camera that doesn't exist.
But very accurate, apparently. I don't work in a hospital. But if you do, and you'd like to watch
you'd like to see what it's like to work in a hospital, even though you already work in one. Scrubs. I have 2 cartoons.
At number 2?
In my top 2.
Okay.
I have King of the Hill at number 2.
I will be surprised I've got to know what your number one is. Okay.
Yeah. I've got King of the Hill at number 2.
Because you said that I probably wouldn't know. But King of the Hill, number 2. I forgot about King of the Hill.
I love King of the Hill so much.
King of the Hill.
The last 2 episodes are trash. Or last 2 seasons are trash. When you start, I love Tom Petty. They start bringing in Tom Petty to be a regular cast member. It's like, okay, this isn't really working anymore. But the first 6 seasons it's just my style of comedy. Like the idea that I can play it, I can relate to Hank Hill when I shouldn't be able to relate to Hank Hill. But just funny non-spoken moments, Hank Hill's boss has unknowingly kidnapped his son and drove him to Hot Springs, Arkansas to use him as a gambling chip. And then when Hank Hill's driving to Hot Springs, Arkansas, he sees a sign that says Hot Spring, Arkansas, home of Bill Clinton, and he locks his truck door. It's so stupid. That is such a perfect joke. Hometown of Bill Clinton, lock the truck door. It's it is so funny. It's so funny. And it just works on so many different fronts where I can't. I have to talk about it more, but I have to talk about it more in a little bit. But everybody on the show is an over exaggeration and a hyperbolic stereotype of somebody in real life that I can point out and be I know. I know Peggy Hill.
Right.
I know Peggy Hill. I know Bobby Hill.
Do I know Peggy Hill? I think I know Peggy Hill.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know a Bobby Hill. I probably do.
But you know 9 Hank Hills.
Yeah.
I know. There's a joke.
I know a Bill. I know a Boomhauer.
Yeah. There's a joke.
I don't know if I know a Boomhauer.
You know Boomhauer. There's
you want to tell me who it is?
There's a joke of I forget at the end of the episode. But Hank Hill says to Bobby, if you weren't my son, I'd hug you. That's such a phenomenal joke. And it's and they don't rely on a laugh track. They don't they rely on you to understand the joke.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. So the last 2 seasons are not good, which is true for a lot of shows.
So I will also say that it's interesting. The Mother's Day episode that we did top 3, bottom 3.
Yeah.
2 of my bottom 3
Yeah.
are Peggy Hill and the mom from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
And they're both in your top 5 shows.
Lois, they say their last name once, Richardson or
Lois
something.
Middle.
Thank you. But yeah, the two that you hated. Do you remember the third one? Who you hated off the top of your head?
The mom from Married with Children, Peg Bundy.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Redheads rounded out my bottom 3.
Yeah.
No.
Peggy's got brown hair,
I had
but
Lois as a I think. I liked Lois. I don't remember.
Well,
it's been a while.
Old loose Lois. So King of the Hill, number 2 for me. Honorable mention.
Also very quotable.
Very quotable.
There's 2 things that I always think of with Hank of the Hill, and one of them is, I don't know you, that's my purse.
Yep.
The only Peggy episode I like is the Boggle one.
Yeah. Yeah. Her falling out of the airport.
There's soot in my boy's fingernails. You don't get soot from propane. You don't get the rich, smoky flavor either. Is that from one of the final 2 seasons, though?
No,
Okay.
No, it's not.
I was hoping it wasn't, but it seemed like it was later in this season.
It's later, but it's not. I know a Dale Gribble. I know a Boomhauer. I know a...
We'll have to talk about who we think these people are.
All right.
After we're done recording.
Okay. So that's my number 2.
I'm afraid I might be Bill.
You're putting me in an uncomfortable situation there.
Alrighty. Let's do honorable mention.
I have 2.
I have 2. 1 live action, 1 cartoon.
I have 2 live action.
Okay.
I have 1, the Bernie Mac show. I liked the Bernie Mac show a lot.
I liked the Bernie Mac show.
I enjoyed it. I knew the Bernie Mac show before I knew that Bernie Mac was a stand-up comedian.
I did not. I think I didn't watch the Bernie Mac show till after he died.
I watched it when it aired live on Fox in 2001. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And then I also have the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I dig me some Fresh Prince.
Yeah. He's older than Phil now.
Oh.
That was like 2 or 3 years ago. He was older than Phil when the show started. Like, what the hell?
Right, that'll keep you up at night.
You know what keeps Chris Rock up at night?
I don't. I have no idea.
And probably nothing. He's rich as
Right,
hell.
yeah, that's true.
But
yeah, could be richer. If
what do you think his thought process was? Hey, this is going to be funny. Ow!
Okay,
I just got slapped.
I know that you have penchant to be a conspiracy theorist. Do you think that was real?
Yes.
Okay, because I do too, and I was going to think less of you if you didn't.
So at first I thought maybe it wasn't, but then afterward, like you watch it a couple times and you're like, yeah, that's real.
It's real.
Like the first video that you tagged me in or sent to me on Twitter, whatever it was,
yeah.
I was like, I kind of watched it, didn't really, but it was like the crappiest recording you could see, and then you get like the Australian version where they didn't cut it
Right,
in time.
where they didn't cut audio.
Keep my wife's name. Oh, God.
Right, like if it was fake, you're not shouting the F word twice.
Right. At the Oscars.
Right.
One time, yeah, they can cut it, not the second time.
There, you're not shouting
But
it twice.
just the...
So I'm glad that you're not like, I think it was the Illuminati throwing off the, like, okay.
Did you see, not Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura was on a warpath against Will Smith.
No, I haven't seen that.
His, like, podcasts and YouTube videos and stuff. He was on the Pat McAfee show, and I heard him talking about it, and he was on a warpath.
I can get on board with that.
Well,
okay, so I got Fresh Prince.
Well, as a comedian, you're like, I don't want slapped when I do a stand-up at a stand-up bar at the basement in Dayton. I don't want someone thinking they can come up and slap me.
Right, because you don't like what I said.
Right.
I just joke at the Oscars. Like, that's my thing. It's like, it's a joke at the Oscars.
I saw a TikTok last night where this guy was like, oh, here's how different comedians will make a joke about this. And then it was like Aziz Ansari who's like, and then they did.
Why don't you keep your wife's boyfriend out of her mouth?
But there's a couple of those, and then it was like a Bo Burnham like
I could
impression.
if you could find that for me, I would enjoy that.
Something terrible happened at the Oscars last night. Something earth shattering. Something crazy. They let what's her name get up there and tell jokes.
Amy Schumer.
They let Amy Schumer
tell jokes.
Yeah,
I could see that would be fun. I'm gonna have to find that doc. So I got Bernie Mac, Fresh Prince.
I think I sent it to someone, so I'll try and find it.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, so you got Bernie Mac and the Fresh Prince in your honorable mention.
Yes, sir.
I've got my 2 highest rated shows.
Ooh,
a 9.0 on IMDb,
that's creme de la creme.
Yeah. Do you have a guess what it would be?
I don't. Arrested Development.
I liked Arrested Development, but the Netflix seasons of that sucked.
I haven't seen it.
And it never really.
There's a guy at work that's like, you would like Arrested Development. Watch it.
You would like the first 2 or 3.
Okay.
The Office, the American Office.
version. Okay.
It's really good.
That seems high. 9.0 seems high for that. Okay. All right. You go.
I watched like 2/3 of it. I never finished it, but the issue that I had with The Office when I tried to watch it is I hated Michael Scott so much.
Well, can I just sidebar real quick? I don't like people who like The Office is their personality.
So I think we've talked about this. I think I actually listened to it. Like in the last couple of weeks, I listened to some of the old podcasts, doing a little side project.
Those people turn me off to The Office.
Like you see it on Tinder, it's like, oh, The Office is my personality trait. Her. It's like, no, it's not.
No, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, I'm swiping right, but I don't feel good about it.
But I don't want a relationship out of this.
Right. There's a couple really funny episodes. There's a lot of really funny episodes, and there's some good episodes. But I couldn't ever finish it. And I like watching, like on YouTube, it'll occasionally pop up, and it's like, oh, here's 3 minutes of the funniest gags that they pulled on Dwight. Mm-hmm. Like, ha, 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 ha. But then I'm done with it, and I don't really want to watch any more of it. And then you'll see TikToks. It's like, oh, here's all the stories about Jim and Pam.
Yeah, right.
I don't know a lot of this stuff. They really kicked it into high gear in like the last 3 seasons. But I just could never finish it. And I hated Michael Scott at first because he's such a doofus of a character. But then by the end of it, you're like, I don't want to watch this because he's not in it anymore. And then
spoiler alert.
Highest rated, 9.2 on IMDb. Rick and Morty.
I haven't watched enough Rick and Morty to have it in my top 5, but the episodes that I have watched, enjoyed thoroughly.
So I've been watching it again the last 2 weeks or so, catching up on some of the episodes that I missed. It's so good. Like, it's smart and funny, but 5% of it is very smart. 20% of it is dumb. And everything else is just, it's super funny. There's not a lot of misses in it. There are some, but a lot of the stuff that they do is very, very funny.
Agreed.
And so I don't know. I just couldn't put it up higher than
9.2 seems like 9.2 is high. Like I think there's like 30 movies on IMDb that are rated like 9.0 or higher. Like, that's like Shawshank Redemption level of rating on IMDb.
Godfather 2.
It insists upon itself.
Still haven't seen the Godfather movies.
I haven't either.
So yeah, that's my honorable mentions.
I don't feel great about saying that out loud, but I don't care.
Okay. So you know what my number one is. You think you know what my number one is. You can't see the cameras because I'm like rolling my eyes, making a big deal about him not knowing. God,
I know what your number one is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do.
Like, because I was like, there's no way you got through 6 other shows before you got to your number one.
This show and Scrubs was the only reason I wanted to do this episode. The fact that I never got to talk about the Scrubs in this show
is the only reason I'm sitting here right now. This is the only episode we're doing.
That was when you were like, let's end it. I'm like, I really wanted to talk about these shows. So go ahead.
Okay, so Don's number one is Psych.
It's Psych. Psych is so good. It was a TNT show, or USA show, sorry. But it ran from 06 to 14. And it's essentially a spin on Sherlock Holmes because it's a detective show. And it kind of didn't dawn on me until it did. That Sean is Sherlock Holmes and his sidekick Gus is
Watson.
And I'm like, oh yeah, it really is like it's a modern day Sherlock Holmes where he is like just hyper. I'm trying to think. He has like eidetic memory and he's like hyper aware of everything, and so he plays it off that he has psychic abilities because in the pilot he's watching the news while he's hooking up with this girl, and the news is on. And he's like, calls the police station. He's like, the store manager is the one that robbed the radio store. What do you mean? My name's Sean Spencer. I'll pick up my check tomorrow. You know, like a Crime Stoppers check or whatever. And he's like, also the news van's plates are out of date. They're expired. So then he goes to the police station the next day, and they're like, the only way that you could have this good information is if you were on the inside of the job. We're arresting you. And he's like, no, I'm psychic. And then he like used his super memory and eyesight stuff to, it's like, oh, these people are having an affair and you're practicing dance lessons. You're getting married soon. And so the whole show, he pretends to be like the psychic detective and has like all these relationships with everybody in the show that think he's a psychic detective, quote unquote, can't see me. I think they all know that he's not, but he's getting good results, so they let him go and they can't prove that he's not. But the only people who know he's not are him, his best friend, and his dad. His dad was the one that like trained him to be this super detective. But they go around solving crime, and it is fantastic. It's hilarious. You can kind of, what I like about shows like that is if you pay attention and you kind of play along, you can figure out who the bad guy is yourself.
Right.
So I like to do that. Now it doesn't work now because I've seen it 50 times.
You're like, I remember this one. It's the dog catcher.
It was the dad of the dog's owner.
Gotcha. I don't remember the specific time, so maybe I'm making this up. Potentially, I need you to play along.
Okay.
I can remember being like, "Hey Don, do you want to go do XYZ?" And you're like, a new episode of Psych comes out.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Okay.
Like, it was...
Don, would you want to go to dinner tonight? What time? Like, I don't know, like 8 o'clock? There's a new episode of Psych. It starts tonight at 8 o'clock in USA.
So that one...
Like, are you a commercial for them?
The last episode the last season was still pretty good, but it was abrupt. It was like kind of like the cast was like, "Hey, we're done with this, I think." And they're like, "Okay,
we'll pay you for one more season."
They just kind of like wrapped it up, and they're like, "And we're done." But they've come out with 3 movies since then.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like the first movie was, like they're all like straight to TV movies, so it's like Peacock makes them or whatever. But the first movie, there's like a 5-year gap, so everybody gets together and it's so exciting. And then they've made one each of the last 2 years. So I kind of get that fixation of new Psych content
without rewatching the entire series, you know, like,
which I'm roughly on my 6th rewatch in a row of the series as I fall asleep at night. I just moved into season 7 last night.
All right.
There's 1 episode or 2 episodes missing too that Amazon Prime doesn't have. You have to watch it on Peacock, and it's the musical episodes.
Well,
I don't know why those are on Peacock.
Did they say something bad about the Jews or gays or something?
No, but so I watched episode 1 with Reese, and I did it on live at twitch.tv where I could, like, my camera was up there and I was watching it. I could like interact with the chat and stuff because I wanted Reese to watch it because he'd never seen
an episode.
Psych. He'd seen like an episode, but it's like, oh yeah, you could definitely tell that this was made in 2006 because he's saying stuff that you cannot say on TV today.
It's not allowed.
Like, you know, like you haven't heard somebody say gay on TV in years,
right?
But they drop it like 3 times in the pilot. And you're like, oh God,
is that how we talked then? Yes,
yes, it is.
No, it was much worse,
right? But I love that show, and that's probably one where if you were like, when does this happen? You could tell
me, like, at least
even if I couldn't tell you the season, I could tell you what else happens in that episode. Like, I could explain the entire episode to you.
Hopefully that won't be necessary.
So that is my number 1.
Yeah.
Your number 1 is a cartoon.
It is.
And I was thinking, so I thought for sure that I knew what your number 1 is. But now there's one missing. And when I said I knew what your number 1 is, you go, do you? I'm like, oh, God, do I? But I'm very confident that it's not Family Guy.
It's not Family Guy.
And that makes it The Simpsons.
It is The Simpsons. I was going to say, speaking of things that you can't say on TV now, like there's an episode from 1994 where Bart is doing a profile on Homer. It's like, you know, we gotta do a report on our dad. We got to do a report on our dad, and like, Dad, what religion are we? And he said, oh, what's the one with all the trumped up rules that don't make sense for practical life? Christianity. you can't people can't take that joke now. You can't say that on TV, and that's 1994.
8.7 on IMDb makes sense because there's been some stinkers.
Well, like, the first 2 seasons are just okay.
Yeah.
Seasons 2 through like 9 are are fantastic. And then seasons 9 through 35 are just okay. Like seasons 9 through like 13 are just okay. And then everything since then has just been like, so that's still on the air, huh?
It's an episode of The Simpsons.
But it's still, you know, hundreds of episodes that are fantastic.
Well, there's a whole...
And The Simpsons, much like King of the Hill, and to a bigger degree, are hyperbolic stereotypes of everyday people. Yeah. Like, and it's small tangent. It's the one thing that kind of pisses me off about the whole like Apu thing is like Indians have like we're stereotypes because we're stereotyped because of Apu from The Simpsons. Well, everybody on the show is a stereotype. Right. Like, police officers don't feel like they're stereotyped because Chief Wiggum is an idiot. but he's a stereotype. Everybody on the show is a stereotype. That's the whole point of the show.
They've done so many episodes that every character they've ever introduced, they've been able to grow that character. Like the comic book store guy.
Yeah.
Who I think now has a wife.
He's a stereotype. He's a stereotype. He's
a giant weeb.
Like Lionel Hutz, the lawyer, is a stereotypical lawyer. There's Gil, the salesman. Oh, you gotta help your old buddy Gil here. Like, he's a stereotype. Everybody is a stereotype. And that's the one thing that just kind of pickles my gourd about.
Grind your gears.
Yeah, just like, we're stereotype, we're racially profiled. No, everybody's racially profiled in The Simpsons. That's the joke. That's the whole point of the show. But it's fantastic. When Conan O'Brien was a writer, the writing is phenomenal. The monorail episode is maybe my second favorite episode of any TV show outside of The Day Man Cometh.
There was one. I haven't seen that many episodes of The Simpsons. Like, I think I found a website in like 2008 where I could binge them, and I binged like 5 seasons of them. But the one episode I remember watching live was the election episode in 2008, where Homer goes up there and he's like, "Oh, I would like to vote for Barack Obama. 1 vote for John McCain. No, silly computer. I'd like to vote for Barack Obama. 2 votes for President John McCain. No!" And he just starts hammering it, and he goes, 37 votes for President John McCain. No, computer, only 3 of those were supposed to be for John McCain. And then the voting booth, I think it was like a House of Horrors, or
Treehouse of Horror. I'm not sure.
Because then the voting machine starts to eat them, and he's like, "This kind of stuff doesn't happen in America. Maybe Ohio, but not America."
Not America. Yes. That's a great joke. That's a great joke.
Yeah.
And that's when the show's not even any good anymore, let alone when, there's just banger after banger from 1993 to 2001. And there's an episode where Johnny Cash is a talking coyote in one of Homer's fever dreams. how you got somebody? How you got
get him to actually voice it?
Yeah. It's Johnny Cash. It's all very. Johnny Cash is like a very wise coyote,
right?
like almost like a Native American type spiritual coyote.
But
it's still Johnny Cash.
You think a reaction show or not for this episode?
I don't think so.
I don't think we need one. We're gonna do those more sporadically.
Yeah.
Kind of when we need to talk about something.
When somebody says something just so grotesquely stupid, we'll do reaction shows.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and talk about Beavis and Butthead and Family Guy and stuff for another 10 minutes.
Right,
do I really need to? Do you care that much?
No.
No. You know what you do care about?
Giving us a 5-star review.
Giving us a 5-star review on iTunes and other places where you can find us. And you care about following us on Twitter at The Rankin Podcast.
And you can follow Don on Twitter.
At Donnie_G. You can follow Garrett on Twitter.
I'm at Garrett Seawright.
You can also, give us a 5-star review.
Even if you hate us,
tweet
we're more likely to read the 5-star review. We're more likely to read the hate if you give it in a 5-star review.
Yeah, and we might read it right here on this show. But if you do hate us, make sure you tweet at Zach Seawright. The H is for hate.
And we'll catch you next time.
We will.
Right here.
We don't know when that'll be, though.
On the Rankin Podcast.